of anything else, that's truly what we've done is we've brought out the positive part of real estate investing and then also created a community around it with Pints and Properties so we can educate people on how to get into real estate investing, different strategies, and then connect the vendors and their teams so they can build their own teams and become successful.
You're listening to the We.L.E.R.E Real Estate Show, a podcast that discusses the intricacies of real estate investing with your host, Marcus E. Maloney. Marcus is a real estate investor best known for being the equity king. He's been awarded that moniker because he and his team find amazing real estate deals. He will be talking with investors who have done some transformational things in the real estate industry. They'll discuss their process, their strategies, and how their investments transform their lives and the communities they invest in. We welcome you to the We.L.E.R.E Real Estate Show.
Hello, We.L.E.R.E family, and welcome to another show. On this show today, we have an awesome guest. This is Shelby Osborne. Shelby Osborne will actually be coming from a military perspective, which I believe is a special niche, and she is really rocking it in the Carolinas region. Shelby is a 6-year Army veteran with less than 2 years in real estate. In 2018, she was the Keller Williams Rookie of the Year for the Carolinas region. She's the owner of the 5 Pillars Realty Group and founder of the REIA Meetup, Pints and Properties, and she's the owner of 40 units and counting. So Shelby, welcome to the show. Welcome to the We.L.E.R.E Real Estate family. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yes. So you're doing some awesome things over there in the Carolinas. So I know the bio didn't do you any justice. So why don't you bring us into your world, into your space, introduce us to Shelby Osborne.
Sure. Yeah. So I was in the military for 6 years, and my second duty station was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, which is the largest military installation in the United States. So they think it's the center of the universe, everyone there. Did some jumping on airplanes, and then decided that the Army had a lot of control over my life, which is fantastic in so many ways, and I don't regret any moment of my time spent there. However, I really wanted complete control over my life and my time, free restrictions, and so I started brainstorming about how to do that. And after reading some books, and I stumbled into an investment property. Well, it was a primary residence back in 2013 that was at the same time starting to cash flow because I had a tenant in there, and I was like, wow, real estate's cool. Let's see what that's all about.
Okay. So that first property, how did you get that first property?
Yeah, so I bought it when I was 22 years old. It was my first duty station in Fort Lewis, Washington State. And definitely not an investment property by any means. It's just I'd moved out there, and my dad actually was like, hey, why don't you buy instead of paying someone else's mortgage? You have this thing called the VA loan where you can buy a property with 0% down. And I was like, wow, Dad, that's pretty smart.
Absolutely. Parents always know the way, right?
Right.
Well, at least they think they do.
Yeah. I was super lucky with that property, the purchase, because I bought it in 2013. And it was at a great time in the market before I got this property for, it was $158,000 at the time, and now it's worth $230,000. And
wow.
I did, I didn't run the numbers, and it cash flows with its tenant in place, even with a disgusting HOA. So I was very fortunate about my first purchase.
Okay. How did you, so you use the VA loan, and I know we're kind of jumping right in here. We use the VA loan. How did you find that first tenant? This being you're young, you're aggressive, you're ambitious. The military can tell you to go anywhere in the world. How did you find that first tenant?
So I did a thing that, they always tell you not to. I rented it to one of my buddies. Yep.
Oh, gotcha.
So I did that twice with my first 2 tenants with that property. And then after I've been away for X amount of time, I was like, this is no longer smart. I don't trust these people. So I leverage. I'm all about leveraging. Okay. So right now it's managed by an awesome property management company in Washington. So.
Okay. And then how did you find that or vet that property management company?
How did I find them? I have an agent friend in that area who was also prior service and highly recommended them. And I was initially drawn to the fact that they were giving me 8% instead of normally it's 10% for property management.
Right. Yep.
And not that that's always the best rule of thumb because cheaper doesn't always mean better.
Yep.
But they've been fantastic. So very, very fortunate with that because not all property management companies are fantastic.
Okay. So I know, kind of going back, you said that your inspiration or so was because you felt that the military had too much control over your life. So you
Yes.
started reading books.
Yes.
What was that inspiration? What was the books? Kind of what fueled that flame for you to get that independence?
For sure. So the book that started it all, it actually came from one of those multi-level marketing, those MLM schemes.
Okay.
I think it was Amway, which no offense to anyone out there.
Yep.
But they had me reading The Business of the 21st Century by Robert Kiyosaki. And what really hit home for me was that cash flow quadrant that they talk about, where they're talking about you're either an employee, self-employed, a business owner, or an investor. And I just like had this reflection upon my life and was like, holy crap, man, I am an employee. Like, I don't want to be in this quadrant. Let's move. So yeah, that book, most people say Rich Dad Poor Dad, but that book was really the most influential in getting my mindset right. And then I stumbled on Bigger Pockets after, Googling a little bit about real estate investing, and Bigger Pockets has been huge for me with the podcast starting out and just like inspiration, seeing other people do such great things. And then the educational piece and calculators, I'm obsessed. So.
Okay. So, and with Bigger Pockets and other communities, it's always good to have that community feel. So you're not feeling like you're the only one thinking these crazy thoughts, of, hey, why don't I buy a property instead of renting, but that community is definitely always strong and it sets that mindset. So tell me, I know you're just kind of getting started. You're rolling. You have the 5 pillars. I mean, you made some remarkable strides just in these 2 years. Tell me about these 40 doors. How did you go from that one rental in Washington State to now 40 units? How did that transpire?
Quickly. Not really. It could go faster. But so that first property I don't count because I bought it as a primary residence with no intention of investing. So my first intentional real estate purchase was in November of 2017, so we're almost exactly at 2 years.
Okay.
And it was a duplex. It was just a $75,000 duplex, which is awesome that you can do that in Fayetteville, North Carolina. And it rents for $625 each side, and you can't do much better than that. I mean, like,
yeah.
I love it. So I bought that conventionally though, so no fancy anything, just 25% down. But after I did it on that first one, I was like, whew, even at a $75,000 purchase, like 25% down that's a little
money. Yeah,
like,
that's some money.
Yeah. So my next one, I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but you can use your VA loan more than once. So my next one, I bought a quad because again, you don't have to just buy a single family with your VA. You can buy up to 4 units.
Correct.
So I bought my second intentional purchase to get 4 more units with that VA loan in March of 2018, right before my W-2 job paychecks stopped coming in because I was getting out of the military at that time.
Okay.
And I don't know, like for people out there, if you are self-employed, you need 2 years of tax returns before banks think that you can make money. So they'll stop giving you loans.
Exactly. So let's talk about, so the first one, or I would say the second one, because the first one, although it was a primary residence, is still an investment property now. So the second one, the duplex, you did that conventional. Why didn't you use the VA with that one, the VA loan?
Because I wanted a quad. I wanted to max out my 0% down, and I knew that I can get a duplex for 75, but the quads in our area go for around 255. And so I'd much rather have 0% down on a purchase that's 250 as opposed to,
Exactly. Very, very smart. Very smart. So now you're at 7 doors. What was the rent coming in on the quad?
The quad, they rent for $675 a door, so that's $2,700 coming in, and I bought it for $250.
Okay. And that's 0% down, so no money out of pocket.
Correct. And I had
Sweet.
the seller cover closing costs, and I also got a repair allowance.
Wow, you are amazing at doing that. So $250,000 purchase price, 0% down, plus you receive concessions from the seller, and you got all of the closing costs paid for. That's amazing.
Right.
So
And
go ahead.
I don't know if this is like an educational piece, but like for people using their VA loan, it's a primary residence loan. So you must intend to occupy the property. So it was fully occupied when I bought it. And I intended to occupy, life happened and I ended up not. But I just
Okay.
wanted to put that out there that you know, just because it's $675 a door, you technically you're supposed to move in.
Okay. So, and with that being said, how did you, because I find it difficult, transitioning from one owner to the next owner when you have tenants in place. How did that transition happen? How did you work that out? Did you do it yourself or did you use a property manager to facilitate that?
So this was back when I did it all myself in the beginning, which I'm actually really glad I did now because I have a better ability to hold property managers accountable because I understand the process a lot better.
Yep.
But what I did is I closed and received, you know, all the handover information from the previous property manager. And then I coordinated with each one of the tenants to come and introduce myself. And at that point, all of them were month to month. So what I did is I asked them for like their biggest, concern, I guess, with the property. Because I wanted to show them that, I don't know if it's the right thing to do, but I want to show them that, look, they were very unhappy with their last owner and property management. I'm not here to be this money hoarding jerk. Like, I want you to enjoy where you're living. I want you to be happy. So like, I really did take into consideration everything that they had to say and try to fix their major concern. Yep. And I actually increased rents to $675. They were at $650.
Okay.
And then I had them all 12-month leases after that. And
so did you real quick, Shelby, did you get any pushback from bumping the rents $25?
Actually, no. So, okay. Which is surprising, but
absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's because I came in and I showed them, and when I didn't just say that I was going to make changes. Like, one girl's dishwasher didn't work. Like, she had a new dishwasher within 2 days. So by showing them that I was going to take care of their issues, they were okay. And especially since those were under market value, the rents were low anyway.
Yeah, and I find that to be a good case. Whenever you're doing a transition and the tenants may have had issues with the prior owner, it's always good to make that face-to-face introduction and then say, hey, like you did, what's your biggest concern? What do we need to do to make your stay here happier and more pleasant? Right. And then actually do those things. Some owners, they go in and they say that, but they never do fix the problem, which then decreases, that level of comfortability with that new owner. So that was very smart what you did. And then that way, when you introduce that $25 bump in rent, it's like, okay, I could deal with $25 more because, hey, I got a new dishwasher, or, I had the carpets cleaned or something like that. So very smart, very smart. Did you get any pushback from them wanting to go to a annual lease, a yearly lease versus month to month?
I didn't. Okay. Honestly, I'm super fortunate in what's happened, like, ever. I feel like I'm one of those really lucky people, annoyingly so.
Yeah, because I bought a duplex a couple of years ago, and my transition didn't go as well. But I knew going in, because the owner did tell me that the person on the first floor, was behind in rent about 3 months, and then the person on the second floor was about 2 months behind. So I already knew going in, hey, I'm gonna have to put these tenants out and rehab the property and put some new tenants in. Okay, so now you have the quad, doing everything, you were managing it. And was this in Washington State also, or this was in the Carolinas now?
That first one's in Washington. All the remaining are in Fayetteville, North Carolina.
Okay, so you're managing everything on your own. How is that going? So you're going out, fixing toilets and changing refrigerators?
I would leverage that. I had a contractor who I was really good friends with, who his team took really good care of me. So
Mhm.
that helped. And then also I used Cozy. Do you know Cozy?
Okay. Yes, I use Cozy myself.
I love Cozy.
Yes.
Bigger Pockets, I met like the guy who created Cozy, and
Yep.
I fangirled a little bit. I was like, oh my God, you changed my life. So
Yeah, he did. I was using a different property management rent collection service, and we had a bad experience with them, and we went over to Cozy, and it has just been amazing ever since. So Cozy has been doing some great things. So you're managing these properties by yourself. You're leveraging a contractor. You know, everybody always say, well, I don't want to be a landlord because I don't want to, do tenants, toilets, and all of these transitions and everything like that. So right now for you, it's going pretty smooth. Tell me about a time when you hit a bump in the road.
Oh, there's so many bumps. I was waiting for this question. So in that same quad, pipe burst and all over one of the units. And it was like, of course, on like a weekend, and the tenant's calling, and I'm calling my contractor, and I'm like freaking out. I don't know what to do. So that was a really fun situation. Overall, though, it turned out fine because, and that's one of the things, like I don't go cheap on insurance. I found it's better to just pay the proper.
Pay it. Yep.
Yeah, because through that, the insurance covered, and I ended up getting like LVP throughout the entire house from that, which granted, again, in a little gray area, but like my contractor was, and so he took care of me. So it ended up being fine. And granted, when you have a claim, the next time the policy renews, your insurance increases a little bit. Overall, like it worked out fine.
Okay. So do you make your tenants get
insurance? Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So they were covered. Did they have any damages to their property or anything?
They didn't have damages to property. They were not pleased with, of course, having to wait, X amount of time before things were complete. And there was like a birthday party that was scheduled. So like not everything is perfect by any means. And then I also I covered half of like the month's utility bills.
And okay.
So I helped with that to make sure that she was happy.
That's good. Now, how long did this happen after you bought the property? Was it 6 months, a year?
No, it was like a month and a half after I purchased.
Okay.
So,
okay. And that's normally what happens. And I tell people, after you purchase a property, if you're not doing a full extensive rehab, be set for that first, 3 to 4 months for some incidentals to happen. A situation with me, I went in, had a property inspection done and everything like that. We were changing out some things in the basement of the duplex and found out that the main beam, was infested with termites. So it was like, okay, here's an expense that I didn't account for, but I mean, it was like $2,500, but it was worth it because I mean, like the numbers work wonderful on the property. So we're still not there at 40. How are you getting to these 40 units?
Okay. So the next 3, so those are the ones that I've done completely on my own, except I have one more down the road that I've done on my own. But these next ones, at this point, I'm maxed out on loans because I am an independent contractor and I can't make money. And so I have to be a little more creative about how to continue investing in properties. And I have that contractor who is equally as driven as I am. And then one other partner who we came in and we raised private capital for our next 3 deals that we purchased together. One was a single family, one was a duplex, and one was a 6-unit apartment complex.
Okay. So how did that single family, well, not the single family, how did the raise go? How did you start in raising capital?
With my sphere of influence. And all the money came through my sphere. So people that I already knew me, liked me, trust me. And that's what I found in business in general. It's just, this, but it's all relationships.
Yep.
And you never know who, you gotta talk to everyone and be, genuine and trustworthy and all these things, because when it comes time to raise money, it it wasn't too difficult. I think it would be more now because I've kind of maxed out like my direct sphere. But none of my investors were in the real estate industry. They just knew that I was, going to give them higher returns than their money was earning in their current investments or sitting in the bank, and trusted me. And I showed them, my previous deals that I had done, and that's how we raised that money.
Okay. So how much was the raise, if you don't mind me asking?
So we did it in chunks. For our first, it was a BRRRR. For our first deal, we raised $55,000.
And then is this the single family?
This is a
assuming?
single.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was, the purchase price was 40, and then the rehab was 15. It appraised for 80, and so it was a clean BRRRR. It runs for 825.
Okay. So now is your investors, they're getting a percentage every month of the rent, or at the end of the year, you're cutting them a check?
No. So, and this is maybe just me making things up as I go, but the way
yep.
which is, I found that to be very true in everything I do. I just make it up and somehow
it works.
But their deal is interest only payments. So with a 5-year balloon.
Okay. Perfect.
They had different rates depending on, because
how much they put in.
One negotiated. The others were just like, okay.
Okay. All right. So interest only. And then a 5-year balloon. So assuming 5 years, are you going to liquidate that house, or
so
what are you going to do?
For that one in particular, because we did it relatively quickly, I offered to give the money back. Or I said, hey, if you'd like me to keep it, I will, and I'll use it towards our next project. So he was like, no, please, you're paying me, just keep it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So you guys rolled, the money into the 6 unit, I'm assuming.
The next is the duplex.
Okay, the duplex.
Right.
All right. So how much did you have to raise for the duplex?
So the acquisition cost was $55,000 for that one, and that took $35,000 in rehab.
Okay. So you're all in at 90 on that one.
Yeah, and I expected it to appraise at 120, and it did not. It appraised at like 97.5. So we left money in that deal.
So what happened? How did your appraisal or your numbers come up short according to the appraiser?
Very frustrating. So not the normal appraiser for a residential property in our area is very familiar with single family homes. They don't deal with multifamily normally at all. And they don't do the income approach. So it did no benefit to me to say, hey, look, this literally rents for $700 each side. We're bringing in $1,400 on this property. It didn't matter. And then, and I can see where he's coming from, but also in my mind, like,
so what did he comp it against? Did he comp it against other duplexes or single families?
It's so sad because it's one of the comps that they brought was my $75,000 duplex, and I was like, damn it.
Oh, okay.
Damn it. Because I was so happy I got it, because I lowballed the crap out of them on that one and got like a great deal. And now I'm like, oh, now I just screwed up my comps.
Right. Okay, so you left money in the duplex there.
But the cash flows beautifully.
But right. But your cash flowing pretty good on that one. Did you talk to the appraiser about his appraisal numbers? How did that conversation go?
I did. I talked to him, especially since our rehab job was beautiful. Like the inside, it was completely gutted and like literally gorgeous. I would have lived in those units. But it didn't really matter. But the workaround, so now multifamilies in our market have become so popular that people will just pay more for them. So these cash buyers are coming in and just paying. So now if I were to do the exact same appraisal, it would appraise at 120, no issue.
Okay.
They're worth that much. It's just the comps, we're not there to show it.
Right. So you have equity sitting in there, and are you thinking about pulling any of that equity refinancing to buy something else?
Not right now.
Okay. Gotcha. And why? Why not now? Because of the prices, or?
Well, because at this point, I don't want to do any more. It's those partners now. So And that was one of the questions is like, what did you learn from all of this? Or some starting over, what would you do
Yep.
different? I would be a little more careful about who I decide to do business with. Because,
Okay.
so I'm the type who's very action oriented. Like, I'm like, oh, you want to do this? Let's go. Me too. Let's do it. Which is good sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
other times I'm like, whoa, if I just want to slow down. Does the
Slow
whole thing.
down, right? Calculated, make a calculated risk, not just a risk.
Yep.
Okay. All
So,
right. So, so you're using, you know, private capital. You used, you know, conventional. You used your VA. Tell me about the 6 unit. How did that go? And was these the same partners on a duplex and a BRRRR that funded the 6 unit?
and both so far have been BRRRRs,
Okay.
the family and the duplex. And then this 6 unit, we are going to start the refi process in January for that one. So that's also a BRRRR.
Okay.
So we bought that one for $180,000 and put about $100,000 into it.
Okay. So
And
you're stepping on up on your purchase prices and your rehab amounts. Okay. So you're 280
and to
in
the
there.
same quality as the duplex, like beautiful. I really like them. Exposed brick, like really cool units right outside the gate. The gate being Fort Bragg.
Right. Okay.
So, yeah. I think it'll. Hope my appraisal was right.
Yeah. Don't go there again, Shelby.
At least now we're in commercial, so it's not.
Right. They have to take the income approach.
Exactly. And all the units fully occupied. They rent for $700 a month for those. So it'll, and especially from what I've seen come on the market for like pentaplexes and other 6 units that are, ours is much better. It should appraise for 400.
Okay.
I think.
All right. And then, so I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the majority of your tenants are they military families?
Yes.
Okay.
So we love the military because, so myself and all of 5 pillars essentially were in the military prior to getting out and jumping into real estate. And so we really understand how their housing allowance, how the chain of command works. If they don't pay, who to call, like we got
Okay.
it. So
that's perfect because it takes some of that risk off the table when dealing with your tenants, especially, and then with the military. I mean, like you said, you know the chain of command, you know who to call, and also, you know, military individuals are much more, because of the way they were rooted and grounded, it's integrity. You know, if I make a promise, if I make a commitment, I have to honor that commitment. So that's very, very good. Very, very good. Tell me about 5 pillars. So I know you started this this real estate group. You're a realtor there in Fayetteville. You built a team. Tell me about this team. Tell me about what you guys are doing.
I love the team so much. So 5 Pillars was originally created out of pure necessity for myself because I was an individual agent, and no matter how hard you work and how many hours you put in, there's still a max. You can only do so much in a day with your amount of time. And I had hit that max with my clients, and I did not want my customer service to start, diminishing.
Right.
So the next step is leverage. It's hiring on an admin team, getting more agents, so that way any, that I can't handle can go to them. So it purely came from the necessity that I had to live.
Okay.
And the cool thing about us too is almost every one of my agents was a client. So a client who in the military has seen what I was doing and was interested in investing and was like, hey, let's do this. Let's grow this thing together. And so there's the fact that we all come from the military background with this structure and work ethic. And we kind of all speak the same language. It's just a very cool group of people who are all very invested in self-development and finding their own financial freedom.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So now with 5 pillars, now did 5 pillars start before you started the raising private capital for these deals here, or was that afterwards?
It was after. It was
okay.
Fall of 2018 is when I was like, you know what? 5 pillars should be a thing. And it was effective in January of 2019. So.
Okay. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, Shelby. How did you find these deals? How did you find your duplex, the 6 unit? Did you do some creative marketing or just MLS? How did you find those?
So the single family was a foreclosure. It was a HUD foreclosure. The duplex and the 6-unit were the 6-unit. One of my partners called it was a for rent sign in the yard, and it just was one of those really dinky, crappy ones, and the building looked like crap.
Okay.
And so it's one of those conversations. I mean, they saw on a bigger pocket phone, like, "Hey, are you interested in selling?" Because, if a landlord has a property like that and a little dinky sign, they probably hate being a landlord.
Yep. Absolutely.
And he
Absolutely.
did. And the duplex actually we closed on it first, but it came from the same guy. He's like, "Yes, I don't want it. I also have this duplex. I don't want to take them." And I was like,
And that's good. That's good. And that's the reason why I asked you, because it's always good to find these off-market deals. That's one of the things. If family, listen, if you're out searching for deals, always call for rent signs, always go out, scour your communities, because your next deal can be right up under your nose. I'll give you a classic example. The duplex that we bought, the guy had it on an MLS. It didn't sell. A year later, I just happened to think about it. I was like, man, I wonder whatever happened with that duplex, that I was interested in. And drove by it, and I saw a for rent sign, and I called him on it. I said, hey man, no, actually I sent him a handwritten letter, looked it up on a county search, found who the owner was, sent him a handwritten letter, said, hey, I know you had this property on the MLS about a year ago. It didn't sell. Are you guys still interested in selling? He wrote me back. No, he called me immediately, and was like, yes, we are entertaining offers. What do you have? So I gave him a number, and they accepted it. And lo and behold, he told me, hey, I have I think it was like an 8-unit not too far from there. And he was like, we're interested in selling that too. I didn't pull the trigger because they were all 1-bedroom units, and I try and stay away from 1-bedroom units. But I just reached out to him last week, and I asked him, hey, is that 8-unit still available? I'm coming back around. I'm like, hey, I might want to entertain this, and unfortunately he said at the time they're not selling, but I will follow up with them. So that's, yeah. But like you said, that's key. You have to get out here and you have to do unconventional things in order to find these deals. People think that, hey, I could just go on the MLS and find a deal, and that's not always the case. So, I mean, good job. You guys really putting in a little extra work, to find these deals. So that seller, did he have any other properties?
Mm-mm. We took all he had.
Took all he had, huh?
Yeah. And that's the best, because he was really happy to get rid of them.
Right.
He didn't want, not everyone is cut out to be a landlord or really wants to do this stuff. So it really was a win-win.
So what was his motivation, you think, to just sell them? I mean, was he just tired of being a landlord, or?
Yeah, so it's a different generation and did not do the legwork, I would say. That, like, I mean, I read books, listened to podcasts, like, I know how to screen tenants. Like, he would take anyone in there, and then they wouldn't pay their rent, and he was going around knocking on doors, like trying to get like no systems
Gotcha.
at all set up.
Gotcha.
And so it was very taxing on him.
Okay. And like you said, that's, from the older generation, sometimes they don't have that education foundation, like some of us have now with, Bigger Pockets and some of the other social sites and things like that. We can read up and learn about everything. Okay. So 5 pillars, you have agents. How many is the team? What's the team? How does it consist?
Cool. So I have myself and then 8 agents. And I have 2 full-time admin and 2 part-time admin. And then we have a rotating series of interns. So on the agent side, like I said, a lot of them came from clients, and a lot of them are new agents. So I mean, I have one agent who, was an agent for longer than me, but the rest are just new. And I kind of like it that way, because they've got this fire in them that the older ones maybe don't have so much. And then also I can train their brains to be a little more critically than just like, yes, no. There's definitely a gray area. You just have to find it, type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. And then my admin are literally the rocks of the team. They're fantastic, because agents are normally personalities that are a little more out there.
Scattered. Yep.
Yeah,
Everywhere.
scattered.
Believe me, I know it. That's me. Yeah,
Yeah.
and our admin assistant, she's always like, "Hey, I need this paperwork. I need this paperwork." And I'm like, "That's not important. I need to go and follow up on this lead."
Right.
So but like you said, yes, those admins, they are the rocks.
I don't know. I couldn't do anything without them. They're amazing. And like the amount of peace they've brought to my life, just knowing that like I travel all the time now. Like I was in DC for the World Series last weekend, and I'm like but I know that my admin are rock solid. So
Yep,
right.
yep. So tell me about this acronym NCAP that you use with your team.
Yes. So they are just the foundational pieces of what I think is really important for our team members to internalize. So education, it's all about educating not only yourself, but also your clients on how your clients need to be educated on how to work independently as well. And then your network, your network is your net worth, right? So
Absolutely.
for sure on that one. And then creativity, where finding a way to win, finding that solution because it's out there, and then taking action and making sure that you have that plan in place to bring all of those pieces together. So that's NCAP.
Okay. All right. Um, how is it different from a military perspective as an investor and a realtor versus, if you wasn't in the military? How do you guys operate differently? How does Five Pillars, what gap does Five Pillars fill in the marketplace in North Carolina?
So the gap that we fill is investments for sure, because most real estate agents do not want to deal with investors at all, especially since a lot of our properties are $30,000, $40,000. And if you break it down, 3% commission, that's jack.
Change.
Change, yes. And we have systems in place to make sure that my agents get paid enough so that they can continue to work and it's of value to them to work with investors. But that of anything else, that's truly what we've done is we've brought out the positive part of real estate investing and then also created a community around it with pints and properties so we can educate people on how to get into real estate investing, different strategies, and then connect the vendors and their teams so they can build their own teams and become successful.
Okay, so you brought up pints and properties, and this is your RIA group, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, how often do you guys meet, and what's some of the topics that you guys discuss?
So we meet on the second Saturday of every month at 3:30, so once a month. And our topics really vary. And it kind of started out a little selfish on my part because I'm like, what do I want to know more about?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that's the speaker that we would bring in because I want myself and my team to learn about X, Y, and Z. But also, as people come, they sign in and it's like, hey, what are you interested in learning? So we take into account what people want to hear about. And if it's something that my team and I are the experts in, we'll teach it. So like I gave a class recently on how to best capitalize on the VA loan, which
Okay.
was targeted, of course, towards our military. And then we did a BRRRR class where we broke it down versus our market, how to do it. And then like we've had a financial advisor come in, we've had a real estate attorney come in. So just home inspector, contractor, all those people.
Gotcha. And then are you finding that you're attracting civilians also as well as military?
Right. Yes. We have a wide variety of people who come.
Perfect. Perfect. Let me ask you this. Have you received any deals out of that group yet?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's great. It's great not only to meet clients, but also connect. Like we've met a lot of wholesalers who I love working with wholesalers actually to get off market deals. And we've kind of found this system to make it work. Whereas a lot of real estate agents in real estate as a license side hear the word wholesale and just like, ooh. But like
why do you think wholesalers have that, or realtors have that perspective with wholesalers? Because that's the same way it is here in Phoenix, and I do deals in Chicago, and some realtors have that perspective also. But then you have that small portion of realtors, let's just say like yourself and myself, that say, hey, you know what? If a wholesaler can bring me a great deal and I have a client that will want that deal, why not? But why do you think some realtors have that, it's a wholesaler, I don't want to be a part of that?
Well, I think it's because most people in general are scared of the unknown. And I don't think they understand at all what wholesalers do. and it just has this like shady, because I mean, there are some wholesalers who can be shady, but there's real estate agents who are shady. But it's mostly that just agents don't understand wholesalers, and that's why they're scared.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So that might be a class for you right there. Yep. How do you think your investing is impacting the communities in Fayetteville?
I think that it's that sounds bad, inspiring. Not that I think I'm that cool, but just because like 5 Pillars as a whole, one of our missions is to get out the word about what our team members are doing, because it's not just me who are investing. Every single agent on my team either owns an investment property or is working towards that. So them sharing their stories and talking about all of the deals they're doing, people are like, oh, that's realistic. I can do that too. So it's just kind of like an energy that we're helping people bring to life.
Great. So now, Shelby, we're going to roll into our hot seat section of the show. So I am going to put you on the hot seat. So answer these questions as quick as you can for me. Starting out, what would you do different? And I know we touched on it earlier, but just kind of reiterate it.
Be careful who you're going to business with.
Okay. What is your greatest commodity outside of capital?
The ability to attract great people.
Perfect. So human capital.
Yes.
All right. What is one thing you can do to be more productive?
Go to sleep earlier.
Go to sleep early. Are you a night owl?
No, I am 100% a morning person. And so if I don't go to sleep early and my miracle morning gets a little screwed up, I am not as good of a person. So.
Okay, gotcha. Understand. What drives your ambition?
It's changed. Originally, it was self-serving for my own personal freedom, and now it's I want to help people experience the freedom.
Okay, perfect. What do you believe is your greatest challenge, internal or external?
I had to ask my team.
Okay.
They said slow down, just a little.
Slow down. Okay. Well, that goes back to that ambition, right?
Yep.
And what was the latest business book you've read?
Traction by Gino Wickman, and it was fantastic.
You know what? I have that on my bookshelf. Haven't read it yet. That's one that I just need to go ahead and read. Mm-hmm. And then what's your latest real estate book?
The BRRRR by David Greene, because I love David Greene.
BRRRR by David Greene. Okay. All right. So tell me, Shelby, how can we get in contact with you? How can we find you? What's your social media handles? Where can we meet you?
Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Bigger Pockets, Real Estate with Shelby Osborne, and then also same platforms, not LinkedIn, but same other platforms for 5 Pillars Realty Group. So either one. Okay.
All right. Perfect. And lastly, before we wrap up, what do you have that you can offer our newbie investors as inspiration for them to get out there and get started?
Take action now, because a year from now, you'll wish that you started today.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Shelby. I really appreciate it. We love Equity Family. Make sure you download this podcast. Make sure you listen to Shelby. Very inspirational. She has been doing this for a short period of time, but look how far she's gotten just in a little bit over 2 years. Am I correct? She went from 1 door to 40 doors just by networking and getting out there and taking action. So Shelby, thank you so much for being an inspiration, not only to me, but to the We Love Equity listeners. And we are going to sign off.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to today's show. I picked up some great actionable items, and I'm sure you did as well. If so, let me know. You can always reach me via social media at facebook.com/MRCS Maloney, Twitter at MRCS Maloney, and of course, IG at MRCS Maloney. You can also always reach me via email at mmaloney@equityrri.com. Make sure you reach out to our guests as well. You can always find their contact information in the show notes below. If you have not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Join the family. And while you're at it, leave us a 5-star review. This is how we tell if we're providing you with what you need for your journey. If there is someone you would like for me to interview or if there's a subject matter you would like for me to cover, please let me know. Finally, if you're looking for additional information about real estate investing, go to equityrealestateblog.com. Also, youtube.com/Marcus Maloney. Until next time, family, always enjoy the journey.